All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unravel a mystery that honestly haunts almost every single one of us. So picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning and you have exactly one task on your agenda, just one single thing to do. And it's a task that could completely, fundamentally change your life. Maybe it's finally starting that business, writing the very first chapter of your book, learning a skill that could literally double your income, or hitting submit on an application for that absolute dream job you've been thinking about for years. The crazy part, it wouldn't even take that long, maybe an hour, tops. You know exactly what to do, you know exactly why it matters so much, and yet you just don't do it.
So I have to ask, what did you delay today? Because instead of tackling that one life-changing task, you probably picked up your phone. Hey, we've all been there. One little notification magically becomes 5. 5 minutes snowballs into 50. You click one quick YouTube video and suddenly you're falling down a massive hours-long rabbit hole. You look up and it's literally dark outside. And that opportunity, it's still sitting exactly where you left it, completely untouched. But then, this really strange thing happens. You don't just feel unproductive, you feel guilty. You promise yourself, okay, tomorrow's gonna be different. Tomorrow I'm finally gonna become disciplined. I'll wake up early, I'll lock in and focus, I'll finally be that person I've always imagined. But tomorrow arrives, and somehow, the exact same story repeats itself.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the uncomfortable truth it reveals, a truth that completely shatters our core assumptions. Almost everyone out there believes procrastination is a time management problem. But actually scratch that. It's not. It is an emotional regulation problem. Think about it. If this were simply about managing our time better, those perfectly color-coded calendars would have cured us by now. To-do lists would have solved it. Those fancy, expensive productivity apps absolutely would have solved it, but they don't. Some of the busiest, most wildly successful CEOs on the planet still procrastinate. Doctors procrastinate. Students procrastinate. Even people whose entire careers depend on creating something often spend hours running away from the very thing they love. So what exactly is happening inside the brain? Why on earth do smart, capable humans constantly choose short-term comfort over a future they desperately want?
Section 1. Your ancient survival brain.
To really wrap our heads around this, we actually need to hit pause and travel way, way back, hundreds of thousands of years back, right into the prehistoric savanna, because we have to look at how our biology is completely hardwired for survival over logic. Imagine you're one of our very distant ancestors. You're walking through an open field and suddenly rustling in the tall grass. Your brain has literally milliseconds to decide what to do. And your options? Well, they're incredibly limited. Step 1, run. Step 2, fight. Step 3, freeze. Thinking about it too long, analyzing the situation, that could literally mean death. Evolution didn't reward the deepest thinker. It rewarded the fastest survivor. Because of this, your brain became incredibly, and I mean incredibly efficient at one specific thing, avoiding danger at all costs.
But here is where we hit a massive biological glitch. To your primal hardware, a physical predator, like a literal tiger, and an emotional threat, like a giant spreadsheet or an overdue project, feel surprisingly identical. Your ancient brain never actually learned to tell the difference between the two. Obviously, modern threats aren't usually trying to eat you. Instead, they're trying to embarrass you. They're trying to expose you or make you feel like a failure. In your brain, it responds the exact same way it always has. It screams, avoid it.
Section 2. Emotional self-defense.
I want you to really honestly reflect on the last thing you procrastinated on. Was the task genuinely functionally difficult, like physically hard to do, or was it just emotionally uncomfortable? Maybe you delayed sending an email not because typing words is physically exhausting, but because you were terrified of rejection before you hit send. Maybe you avoided studying not because the book was impossible to open, but because looking at it reminded you of everything you didn't know yet. Which brings us to this incredibly profound realization. Procrastination isn't laziness. It is emotional self-defense. We really have to stop beating ourselves up with this label of being lazy. Every single time we postpone something, we aren't actually avoiding the physical task itself. The task is just the messenger. What we're really doing is protecting ourselves from the negative feeling attached to that task.
So the crucial point is, when we delay, we are actively running from a very specific set of emotions. Look at this list: anxiety, uncertainty, judgment, failure, and of course, perfectionism. That right there is the heavy emotional weight we are actually dodging when we put things off. The emotion is the real enemy here for sure, not the work itself.
Scientists have actually discovered that your brain contains these different systems that are constantly warring for control. It's kind of like having two roommates intensely fighting over the thermostat. On one side, you have your future self. This version is calm, patient, logical, and deeply, deeply wants long-term success. But on the other side, you have your present self,
And this guy is highly impulsive, absolutely despises discomfort, and demands a candy bar right this very second. Literally every single decision you make is a constant internal negotiation between these two versions of yourself. And here's the kicker. When tomorrow's rewards feel a bit too abstract, but today's comfort feels incredibly real and immediate, guess who wins? The present self. Pretty much every single time.
Section 3. The instant gratification trap.
Okay, so now that we understand this intense battle going on inside our heads, let's look at how the modern world, and especially our technology, heavily exploits our impulsive present self. We are essentially caught in a brutal tug-of-war between unpredictable digital dopamine on one side and painfully late-life rewards on the other. Think about it. Your phone never asks you to wait. Every single swipe offers something brand new, a joke, a message, a tiny colorful hit of dopamine. Social media apps are literally built on the exact same psychology as casino slot machines. Because hey, maybe, just maybe, the very next swipe will be the jackpot. Meanwhile, massive, meaningful life goals, like writing a book or starting a business, offer absolutely zero immediate reward. The biggest payoffs in life arrive painfully late, and as we've just learned, your ancient brain was simply never designed to be that patient.
And this dynamic leads us right into a really dangerous trap: productive procrastination. This is essentially moving without getting any closer. It's using risk-free preparation as a substitute for risky action. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's when you spend 3 solid hours reorganizing your desk, redesigning your schedule, or buying expensive new notebooks. It all feels so productive. Except, the actual work never begins. It feels completely safe because preparation has zero risk of failure. Only actual action carries risk.
Section 4. The identity crisis.
Now, if we let this cycle just keep spinning, we face the absolute most terrifying escalation of this behavior. This is the point where our constant delays begin to fundamentally corrupt who we believe we are at our core. Just follow this timeline with me. Today, you might say, I procrastinated today. That is just an isolated action. But fast forward to next month, and it becomes, man, I haven't started. And then, years later, it morphs into something truly devastating. That's just who I am. I'm a procrastinator. Now, those phrases might sound pretty similar, but psychologically, they are worlds apart. One describes something you did, the other defines your entire identity. And once procrastination becomes a permanent label you give yourself, it gives you a free pass to justify all future inaction. It is literally one of the most destructive lies the brain quietly tells itself just to stay comfortable.
Section 5. The power of starting. So, the million-dollar question: how do we break out of this? How do we actually defeat millions of years of ancient brain wiring and these modern dopamine traps? Well, let's look at these two potential futures side by side. On one hand, you have the slow drift. This is where you delay just once, but then tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next month, and before you know it, years just quietly disappear. Life doesn't usually collapse in one dramatic overnight explosion, it just slowly, silently drifts away. But on the other hand, you have the imperfect start. This is where you decide to begin before you even feel ready. It won't be perfect. In fact, it might just be one messy page, one terribly drafted email, or one incredibly clunky workout. But these tiny, microscopic actions, when you repeat them daily, they begin to fundamentally reshape your identity. You stop obsessing over trying to be perfectly disciplined, and you simply become someone who starts.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real secret of highly successful people. It's surprisingly simple. Motivation comes after action, far, far more often than it comes before it. Successful people don't magically lack resistance. They've just decided to stop negotiating with it. Waiting around to suddenly feel inspired or highly motivated? That's exactly like waiting to become totally ripped before you ever step foot inside a gym. It makes absolutely no sense. The feeling follows the movement, for sure, not the other way around.
We spend so much time searching for a magic trick, a shortcut, or the perfect morning routine to cure this. But the truth is, procrastination was never a problem of intelligence or ambition or potential. Not at all. It is simply the quiet, everyday battle between the person you are today and the person you desperately hope to become. And you know, history rarely remembers the people who just planned things out. It remembers the people who started. So it's time to stop negotiating with that impulsive present self and simply begin.
Which ultimately leaves us with one incredibly essential thought to wrap up this explainer. Perhaps the real question isn't actually why we procrastinate. The real question is, what kind of life are we postponing every single time we do? I'm gonna leave that right there for you to think about. Seriously, it's time to put this explainer away, get offline, and go take that very first beautifully imperfect step. You've got this.